以下內容純屬主持及嘉賓個人意見，與星匯網立場無關。
太快啦 ！Hello， 大家好，
今日日啦，
係啊，要唔要得啊？要唔要得啊？係啊 ，Nice to see you again, you
Jenny，
恭喜發財，
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 好生日快樂！今日人日
係啊，今日咧係人日啦，人人都生日啦，係啊 ，Today is everyone's birthday.
Yes.
Because it's the 7th day of the Chinese New Year. Yes. 係啊，所以今日人人都生日啦，我哋係啦。Hello， 咁多位，咁啊，今日點解唔係我？唔係點解唔係？今日點解係我？係啦，因為咧係 Adam 咧，佢今日有啲嘢做，係啦，咁咧所以咧就揾咗我入嚟，係啦。咁但係咧，我要話定俾大家聽咧，一陣間我會好靜嘅，咁因為咧我好多嘢都唔識嘅，係啦。因為今日阿 Neil 要講嘅嘢咧就係揭破呢個 NASA 嘅謊言，係啦。呢個月球係咪？我哋講月球啦，被隱瞞嘅嗰一面啦 ，the hidden side of the moon 咁樣啦。咁好啦，咁阿 Jenny 有冇嘢想講？
好啊，咁啊，首先咧，大家拜年啦，恭喜發財啊！
係。
咁啊，大家身體健康，同埋今年大家都平安啦，快快樂樂，開心啦。咁咧就係啦，今日就講 NASA 個謊言啦。咁月球啊，我哋成日都知道，背面啦，好多人都問。月球嘅背面有啲乜嘢咧？咁樣咁所以今日咧，阿 Neil 就話同大家揭秘啊，同埋帶咗好多啲絕密嘅相出嚟俾大家睇下嘅。係啦，咁啊，首先係咪有啲問題想問下 Neil 先？
係啊，我有條問題我會問嘅。Neil, what is the NASA?
Oh, what is NASA? Well, I think people don't realize that there's a very important background to NASA.
原來 NASA 咧其實有個好重要嘅背景嘅，咁所以今日咧就阿 Neil 同你講下啦。
NASA is the institution in America that handles the space program.
咁啊 NASA 就太空總署啦，美國太空總署啦，咁顧名思義咧就係處理一啲美國嗰邊太空嘅事宜嘅。
And it is funded by the US military budget.
哦，原來佢嘅資金來源呢，就係來自軍方嗰邊嘅喎。
Now, you've got to understand that NASA was responsible for sending the first man on the moon, the first group of astronauts to the moon. They're involved in all the space programs, and everybody thinks, wow, that's wonderful. We've got rockets, and we can go all over the place now.
係啦。咁啊 NASA 咧就負責係登陸月球啦，第一個人類就登陸月球係 NASA 嗰邊負責嘅，咁同埋所有嘅太空計劃啦。咁啊，大家都會覺得哇，真係勁啦 ！NASA 係做到咁偉大嘅事啦，係人類嘅一大步嚟啊！咁亦都發展同埋研發呢個火箭嘅喎。
Hold on, is it from Adam? Hi, Neil and Jenny.Hello,
Adam. We miss you.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone, Adam.
Leave me alone, Adam. Okay.
Okay, so what I was telling you about NASA is very important. You remember the Second World War with the German Nazis?
第二次世界大戰咧，同美國納粹德軍嗰陣嘅係一個好重要嘅一個點嚟嘅。
After the Second World War, there was a big rush by Russia.And America to take all those scientists that were very involved in electromagnetics and anti-gravity and rockets.
咁當年呢，第二次世界大戰之後呢，咁有好多嘅納粹嘅科學家呢，就去咗美國嗰邊，咁就研究一啲 electromagnetics， 即係電子。磁場嗰啲啦嚇，咁同埋我都唔記得咗個 term 係咩，同埋係太空科技啊，同埋火箭嘅研發嘅，同埋 點樣係嗰個升空啊，喺個磁浮嗰度，咁就嗰陣開始去研發㗎啦。
And the rocket program of the Germans during the war, they had something called the V2. They fired 3,000 V2s into the UK and killed 5,000 people.
3,000 V2
Yeah,
嘅
V2 rockets. They were rocket bombs. They could fly and kill people in the UK during the war.
電磁波啊 ，Adam 提你。
電磁波。咁佢嗰陣發咗係3000幾枚嘅 V2 嘅彈，就殺咗好多人嘅喺英國嗰陣。
Right. And the scientist who invented the V2 was a man called Dr. Werner von Braun. He was a Nazi scientist during the war.
當時咧去發明呢個 V2 嘅咧係一名納粹嘅德軍嚟嘅，就叫做 Dr. von Braun。
Yeah. So let's put the first slide up.
好，我哋第一張圖嘅。
Okay, let's start. Okay, please wait.
Yeah. You're getting there.
Yes.
Once we're up and running, it'll go smooth.
Okay.
係啦，
There
冇
you go.
錯啦。
So there's Werner von Braun, the top of the picture on the right-hand side. Okay. And after the war, the Americans brought in about 1,500 to 1,600 German Nazi scientists. And basically, they were brought in, integrated into NASA because of their expertise in rocketry.
咁當年呢，即係二戰之後啦，咁就帶咗1500至1600名嘅納粹嘅科學家呢，就入咗去美國啦。咁呢啲科學家呢，亦都最後喺 NASA 下邊做工作噶咯喎。
Okay. So 50 years ago, the Americans sent Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin to the moon. They were first men on the moon.
Yes.
Now, what's important, they went up in a rocket called the Saturn V, which is a powerful, powerful rocket, could lift huge weight. Now, that rocket technology was brought in by Dr. Werner von Braun.
嗱，咁即係當年呢，第一名嘅太空人啊，踏足月球嘅嗰個火箭啦，叫做土星5號啦，原來就係呢一位嘅納粹科學家發明嘅喎。
Okay. Now, if we go to look at the bottom of the picture, you can see a photograph of the Nazi scientists all being photographed. If you go to the next slide,
Okay, next slide. Wait.
So are we saying that actually the advanced technology of science rocket, the rocket science, is from Nazi? It's not actually from the US.
well, they had their own rocketry, but the techniques that the Germans had during the war were far superior.
頭先就問呢，咁其實即係話美國踏足月球呢件事呢，其實就唔係美國科技咯喎，其實係納粹德軍嘅科技咯喎。咁啊，阿 Neil 就答翻係啦。其實呢，雖然啦，美國本身自己都有一啲火箭嘅技術嘅，咁但係今次呢，就即係嗰個咁大嘅重大嘅事件呢，都係歸功於即係納粹嗰邊嘅。
So Werner von Braun was a hero now. Okay, because of the achievements of the space industry going to the moon.
咁啊 Dr. von Braun 咧就變咗係一個英雄啦，就因為可以踏足月球呢件事啦。
Now, you can see in the picture, you can see a lady called Dr. Carol Rosen. She was Dr. Werner von Braun's confident right-hand woman.
咁呢位女士咧 ，Dr. Carol Rosen 咧，見到呢位咧就係阿 Dr. von Braun 咧嘅好信任右手嘅助手嚟嘅。
And you can see there she's giving testimony at the Disclosure Project, which was set up by Dr. Stephen Greer. Now, you can see a picture of her when she was younger on the top right-hand side with Dr. Werner von Braun. And there's a photo of me with Dr. Rosen at the bottom right-hand side. And I've spent a lot of time with her and had many very deep conversations. Now, one of the things she tells everybody is when Dr. Werner von Braun was on his deathbed when he was dying, he said,
好啦，咁啊介紹下呢位 Dr. Carol Rosen 先。咁你見到中間嗰段片嗰個幅相啦，咁就喺 Dr. Stephen Greer 嗰個揭密計劃中咧，佢係做一個 testimony 嘅作證嘅。咁而上面嗰張咧就係當年同Dr. Von Braun 影相啦，年輕嘅時候。咁下邊咧就係同阿 Neil 一齊影相嘅。咁就當時咧，阿 Neil 就同Dr. Rosen 咧就有個好深入嘅溝通啦。而知道咧，原來當年 Dr. Von Braun 臨終之前咧就講咗一啲好重要嘅説話喎。
He warned her that these elites, these insiders in America, they were creating false flag operations. Can you say false flag operation?
Yes 嗱，咁咧呢個重大嘅事咧就有啲即係陰謀論，應該大家都唔會陌生噶啦。咁佢就話其實好多精英咧，當年咧係就策劃咗好多危奇事件啊。
He warned her before 1977. He said, first, there would be terrorists. And what did we get? 9/11.
嗱，大家應該有聽過啦，9/11嘅陰謀論啦。咁其中一樣咧，Dr. Von Braun 咧就當時已經講啦，會有恐怖分子呢一樣嘢出現嘅。
Then he warned her that the elites would be saying, oh, be careful, asteroids are going to hit the planet. And how many times are you hearing now about this asteroid, that asteroid? Now we've got to be able to destroy it in space. Right?
So
Asteroid.
Yes, so this is true or
Well,
there's a false threat.
It's just a way of them saying, scaring everybody to get money from the government to put more stuff into space, more weapons.
OK 嗱，咁啊，第二樣嘢咧就係話好多小行星。咁咧我哋可能耐不耐都有聽過咧話地球出邊咧有啲小行星行過啦，好危險啊，或者會令到我哋撞到我哋啦，地球啦，咁啊造成啲威脅啦。個目的咧，除咗係錢之外咧，就係將啲武器咧擺上去太空嗰度嘅。嗱，我想提翻一點咧，就係呢樣嘢講嘅咧係1977年啦嚇。即係喺未9/11之前已經發生啦，即係其實呢樣嘢係計劃咗好耐啦。
And then he said, Carol, and he was dying, he said the final card that they will say is there's going to be an alien invasion, an alien threat.
最後一招咧，就係會有外星人入侵啊！咦，咁即係佢諗住陷外星人於不義喎。They're going to frame the aliens.
And aren't we seeing that now? Aren't we seeing now with Louis Alexander, all these people now saying, you know, it's a threat, we don't know what they are, these things are flying, it's a threat, because it's our airspace.
Yeah, 其實大家都冇真正接觸到外星人有啲咩威脅到啦，咁但係已經好多嗰啲，譬如 Louis Alexander 啦，之前就已經話，佢飛得咁快啊，或者佢有能力去熄咗啲機啊，其實對於美國嘅或者係國防咧，已經係一個好大嘅威脅啦，已經即係定認咗啦，套咗頂帽落去係有威脅嚟啦。咁呢一個就正切合咗Dr. Von Braun 講嘅最後一張卡，就係有外星人入侵咯。So what is their purpose actually?
Okay, so the purpose is to gain more planetary control, okay, to get more money, to put more weapons in space, because whoever controls space controls humanity. Because you'll control AI, and you will have advancement on AI, and you'll have a control of the planet.
咁頭先問啦，其實佢哋個目的係乜嘢啦？咁最後佢哋係想將啲武器擺上太空，而從而咧就令到可以控制到成個地球啦。So are you saying that when they're putting up the weapons on above sky in space, so all other countries will obey who owns the weapons?
They can actually, if there's ever a problem on the planets, they don't need to talk about what they've got in space, they can just use it.
Like nuclear.
It's even more dangerous than that. The nuclear is nothing compared to what they got. They got the scalar weapons, they got these lasers, they got all sorts of stuff in space. They got them there now.
They
shoot down craft. They shoot
Shoot
down.
down
They've
craft.
shot down ET craft, of course.
即係唔止係地球嘅嘢嗱。頭先咧問到咧，即係擺到上去太空嘅時候，咁個武器係咪話邊個國家唔聽話，你都唔需要再用呢個恐怖分子呢個理由去打佢啦，唔使再派啲空軍啊、陸軍啊過去啦，直接喺太空度射落去啦。原來仲有再大啲嘅就係佢淨放 laser 去，連 UFO 都可以射到咯喎。
好勁喎！
Okay, put the next slide, because later on we're going to show you some incredible films.
咁我哋嚟緊可以下一張 slide 先，
好啊，
因為咧跟住咧仲有啲好震撼嘅片啊！下一張 slide 就係呢個
啦，係啦。
Next one. Next one.
Next one.
Yeah.
OK。
好啦，咁呢個詳細解釋
Yep,
啊。
three government. That's it. Yeah. So
Is it? OK。
yeah. So there you can see, generally speaking, there's three levels of government that you can see. There's the government that the people deal with that knows nothing about ET.
Is it like the president?
Yeah, your normal politicians and these guys, blah blah blah. You know.
咁即係嗱，第一層咧，美國政府咧第一層就係真係乜都唔知嘅，即係好似總統啊，或者
don't know nothing about the NASA，
即係好似或者其他嗰啲政治人物啊咁樣，其實可能你知多過佢添喎。
And then there's the government. There's the part of the government that covers up the alien presence. They don't know. They cover it up. They don't know what it is. They just cover it up.
Are those departments or
Different stovepipe departments in the government. They know what it is, but they cover it up.
so their job is to cover up？
Yeah, they just cover it up.
咁第二層咧就係一啲純粹係 cover up 嘅，即係隱瞞啊，唔俾啲資料外泄嘅部門啊。
And of course, there's the part of the government. It's not really the government. It's the shadow government. It's in the private contractors. That, if you like, it's a shadow government, but they are the ones that are benefiting by keeping the secret because they back engineer these ET craft and they take all the toys. All the toys.
好啦，咁樣邊個攞晒啲玩具咧？就係後邊有一啲
影子政府
啦，即係
影子政府
係啦，嗰啲既得利益者啦，
係啦，
因為佢哋喺攞到 UFO， 跟住之後做逆向科技，咁咧就可以攞晒佢啲技術啦，可以研發一啲即係能源又好啦，或者係飛行器啦，或者係或者即係有啲高科技嘅武器都好啦。咁佢哋就攞晒嗰啲玩具啦，咁所以呢一班先至係真真正正知道晒內幕消息嘅影子政府啊。
Okay, the next slide.
OK。
Just to give you some background before we go to the films and the pictures.
好啦，咁就想問下點解要真係收埋呢個秘密咁多年 ？Why keep all the secrets all those years?
Yeah.
17 years。
There's 70 years of secrecy. So they keep this under the American national security. So they have an excuse for not telling you something.
用呢個美國國家安全啊呢條條例咧，咁就唔俾大家知道有關外星人嘅嘢啦。
Because they've hidden 70 years of technology that if we had today, we wouldn't have pollution, we wouldn't have dirty seas, we would be an advanced species. Except now they divide us and we fight each other.
咁嗱，其實嗰啲所謂既得利益者咧，除咗係攞到啲玩具之外咧，實際上佢哋因為掌握咗地球上好有限嘅資源啊，譬如話free energy 啦呢啲，佢有呢個科技，但係佢唔放出嚟，咁大家就要俾貴嘅石油啦、電啊，所有嘢都要俾佢啦，同埋譬如環保啦嚇，好多污染啊或者醫療上啊嗰啲，即跟住嗰點啊見到啦，咁所以呢一啲 elite 呢啲係既得利益者咧，係唔會放出嚟，同埋都影響緊我哋每一個人嘅地球上。
And all the institutions, like the World Council of Churches, the Vatican, all these nonsense places, they're filling your head with religious nonsense instead of spirituality and consciousness studies. They put all this other nonsense in your head. So they are part of the problem.
So they're doing it for control.
It's all part of the control mechanism by the people, the elites at the top.
咁譬如話即係宗教啦，佢哋教嘅係一啲 宗教上嘅規限嘅啫，即係控制你，譬如咩唔得，咩係得咁樣，你一定要跟佢嗰套，係啦。咁但係就唔係教你點樣靈性上嘅嘢，唔關事嘅，或者係 consciousness 啦。我哋呢幾集都有講到嗰個意識上啊，究竟係你點樣去睇呢個現實咧？咁佢哋全部都唔會講嘅。
And even the educational institutions, so they set the syllabus. You learn this, you pay that much, and then I give you this certificate, and you have to learn this nonsense.
係啊，咁大家都知道啦，即係呢啲即係學歷嘅嘢都係買翻嚟啦。咁呢個即係教育都係嘅，都係其中一環，都係佢哋精英咁樣其中一樣嘢。
Except that now these elites have been shooting down these ET craft, the crashes, they've taken the technology, and they've hidden them away in these special access programs and black programs when it should be taken out and put into the universities.
即係呢啲佢話如果譬如 back engineer 或者去攞到呢啲 UFO 嘅科技咧，其實如果真係造福人類咧，係應該擺上去俾大家學習啦，喺大學嗰度，咁可以造福人類啦。咁但係佢哋絕對冇咁樣做啦，就收埋啊。
When some of the extraterrestrials have been trying to help the planet and help humanity, and all this is just being covered up.
Like the two brothers, like we've discussed last time.
Yeah. Everything's just like totally covered up. They just don't want you to look too deep into all of that. They want to just keep everything between blinkers, and you follow what they say, and then you remain stupid. We've lost 70 years of this.
咁咧仲有其實咧有好多嘅外星物種咧係有想幫人類嘅，咁但係譬如上集我哋都有提過啦，有啲用人樣嘅外星人嚟到咧會同啲人交流啊咁樣嘅，咁啊但係咧呢啲全部咧都俾佢哋冚晒嘅，佢唔會俾啲人咧太深入咁樣去認識呢啲嘢嘅，係啦，
俾佢哋知咁多，
冇錯啦。咁啊，大家都係好似都保持愚蠢啦，同埋跟佢嗰套啦，
冇錯。
And the way they keep the secrets, these institutions, they make the people sign these confidentiality agreements. You know, in some case punishable by death. I tell you, some cases punishable by death because you can see now in the hearings they talk about this. Bush talks about it.
Death threats.
Death threats.
咁咧喺其實喺呢一個範疇裏面咧，政府嗰邊咧同即係涉及嘅人員啦，都有簽到一啲保密協議。咁而呢啲保密協議咧係話，如果佢哋泄密嘅話，係有機會咧去到即係會死嘅喎，個生命會受到威脅嘅。咁佢之前David Rush 都有講過話，佢覺得自己嘅生命係受到威脅嘅。咁所以而家就話有個咩 Disclosure Act 啦，咁啊大家都保障翻一啲泄密者啦咁樣。
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so let's talk about what are they keeping secret? What are the toys? Okay, first of all, interdimensional travel is one of the toys.
係啦，其中一樣就係跨維度旅行啊。So are you saying that they can do it now?
They have this ability. They have abilities in that area. Exactly what we don't know, but they have abilities in that field of interdimensionality.
For humans, they
have that.
The technology.
They have relations with extraterrestrials. They have technology exchanges. There are stovepipe groups that know about this.
嗱，即係大家唔好以為仲係70年，即係講緊係我已經研究緊呢啲嘢70年啦。咁所以跨維度旅行咧，唔係淨係外星人可以做到啦。原來我哋其實地球嘅呢啲精英啦，咁佢哋透過都已經有呢個掌握到啦，或者佢哋同一啲外星人喺度交流嘅時候咧，已經係知道啦。
They have extrasolar trade. So in other words, the humans have ships that go out into space and they trade.
Trade human trafficking.
Well, there is this aspect of it. I can't go very deep into that because of certain facts are not 100% clear, but you get the smell of it. Okay, you can smell that there's something like that involved in this game, and they are trading minerals and then trading a lot of stuff.
Well, trading minerals that that might be more reasonable. Like we
Yeah, but-
trade
yes.
gold, we trade silver
the
on the
difference
planet.
is they're not trading the minerals outwards, they're bringing stuff inwards, and what may be going outwards.
It's human. OK 嗱，我哋所認識
好神奇
嘅貿易咧，就係大家交換錢啫嗱，
係啊
即係外買金啦，
一物換一物
一物換一物啦
咁樣
咁樣。咁咧而家咧就話原來咧係外星嘅，譬如稀土啊，或者係其他啲 minerals 嘅嘢啦、礦物嘅嘢啦，咁可能外星買翻嚟，咁我地球俾翻啲咩佢咧？可能就係人
人
喎。
I had a discussion with somebody in the know about this. That's why I'm hesitant to talk too much about it. But I had a discussion with somebody in the know about this who mentioned that the first lot came from a prison in South America. They were all sent out.
Or send out to space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, very, very hard to swallow, very hard to listen, but I'm afraid you have to listen to this kind of stuff because the sooner you know it, if they're not going to tell you, I'm going to tell you. So that's all there
嗱
is
呢
to it.
個比較難啲接受啦，就係、譬如嗰個奴隸啦、貿易啦，咁頭先阿 Neil 提到佢有啲朋友討論過嘅，咁其中就係譬如南非嘅囚犯啦
囚犯，
咁就可能出嚟之後就俾人 trade 咗啦
trade 咗
咁樣
佢啦，係
啦。
啦，俾人 trade 咗咯。
And what's so hard about that if we know about abductions? In some cases, people didn't come back. What's so hard to understand about that?
True, because in US, like every minute, a certain number of people disappear. So we don't know
600,000 a year.
6,000
600,000 a year.
600,000 a year。
Disappear, I never
60
found.
萬
哇
60萬人啊嚇，每一年係唔見咗。咁你唔知
Look it
係
up
發
on
生咩事
Google. How many missing people in America every year? Look it up in Google.
即係大家可以 Google 去睇下，係真係嗰個數字好驚人，60萬每年
嚇死
係
人啊
唔知 disappear 咗。
去咗邊
咁究竟係去咗邊係唔知。即係嗱，我哋好 layman，我哋好平民就話啊，係咪俾人捉咗去啲
誒好多
做奴
變態
隸
佬啊，或者
係啦，
係
變態啦，
收埋咗，係啊，
冇錯啦，
嗰啲咯
冇錯啦。咁原來仲有呢一啲
仲有啲多個
outer
渠
space
道
係
咯，
啦，係離開地球嘅
係喎
係啦。
Okay. Now they're also very, very interested in what's called thought activation technology. Okay. In other words, they know that these craft sometimes the bioengineered occupants, these like they like beings, but they're made, but they're more advanced than we are. But they are the navigation system in the craft. They just put their hand on the plate,
Yeah.
whatever, or mind to mind, with interface with the intelligence of the computers, and these craft fly, and they are the thought activation technology. They're part of it.
So they get this technology and use it.
They want this, and this is part of the game to get all this.
呢個係遊戲其中一部分啦，就係咧嗱佢喺個飛碟上面控制咧，外星人其實就唔係真係你有個 panel 啊，或者一個駕駛盤咁樣噶啦嘛，佢可以用意念啦去控制成個飛碟。咁其中呢啲義烈就係啲精英咧，可以攞到就係、究竟成個系統係點樣做嘅咧，或者點樣激活翻嗰個思想咧 ？I saw some toys for the kids. They use the mind to play the games, like move
Yeah.
forward, move
That's
the left.
very, very basic. This
Yeah.
is way, way beyond that. And that's already advanced. But this is way, way, way beyond that. Okay, in one of the other slides, you'll see Melinda Leslie, one of the MyLab victims. That's when the military abduct the contactee. Because the contactees learn to fly the craft with this technology. So the military have these false abductions and they take these contactees and try and learn what they know, how they fly the craft.
嗱，Mind Labs 講多少少啦。頭先阿 Neil 提到咧，就係軍事老怪，即係其實咧嗰啲老怪唔係外星人做嘅，係軍方嗰邊做嘅。咁佢目的係咩咧？就係、可能呢一啲人咧係真係俾外星人去老怪咗。咁但係呢啲人咧就係、學識咗喺啲飛碟嗰度點樣駕駛啦。咁佢點樣學咧？佢攞咗架飛碟，佢唔可以控制翻呢樣嘢，即係佢唔可以逆向研究到呢樣嘢噶嘛。咁佢就捉呢啲人啦，所以佢就用個軍事老怪，佢就扮係外星人咁樣捉咗呢一啲俾人即係老怪過嘅人咧，去研究究竟佢點樣用個腦，點樣去控制翻咧， 去其中個Melinda Leslie 咧就係其中一位受害者啦。咁可能我哋遲啲會再睇嘅。
They're also very interested in the genetic manipulation, using ET genetics, creating hybrids, and also creating what are called PLF, programmed life forms, which are biological, but they are not real.
Is it like humanoids?
The humanoids they're actually manufactured using biological material and genetics. So they create these beings using the advanced genetic manipulation. This is all part of the benefit of these elites taking all this information and keeping us in the dark.
咁啊，仲有一個叫基因操控啊。基因操控就係咩咧？可以利用 E.T. 嘅即係外星人嘅 DNA 啦，佢嘅個基因咧，咁啊去做一啲運動啦。咁同埋咧係叫做 PLF 啊，即係好似係人嘅唔係人啦，係生物嘅身體咁樣去做一個軀殼出嚟嘅。So is it like it's not a clone, right? It's
well, it may be partly cloned. It may be and advanced. You know, the whole thing about the physical life forms is you can manipulate them and create aspects of them that you want. Maybe you want to make something that can travel in space better. Maybe you want to advance the human genome to do different things that it can't in its current form.
係啦，即係頭先問到係咪好似複製人咁啦？咁但係比複製人更加進一步嘅就係、譬如話你想去某一啲肌肉啊，或者係某一啲部位更加發達嘅話，就可以執藥咁樣去
執咯，係啦，
跟住就令
砌一個好
靚或者你完美，你想去點樣嘅人咁樣出嚟啦。
Using nanotechnology, that's the reduction in size of small little machines that you could put into the body that may be able to, they energized and they can keep going and they can repair bodies and they can maybe morph and change the body, can do all sorts of things. This is all in the future. This is what they've got, they're using and learning about.
So it's not in the future, they've got it.
Well, they are experimenting with it and working with it. And this is, if they're successful with these programs, who knows what they can do.
Yeah. As weapons or as bacteria.
Everything is always weaponized for control.
咁啊，仲有一個係 nanotechnology，即係嗰啲好微細嘅納米啊，納米技術啦。咁即係譬如有啲納米機械人啦，咁其實我網上面可能都有見過，可能擺咗入身體嗰度做一啲微創手術啊，或者係佢通下血管啊咁樣，咁啲納米嘅機械人咧就可以做到啦。咁呢一啲咧都係佢哋想要嘅科技。咁當然唔係 for 一個即係唔係為人類嘅造福啦，
係啦，一定唔係 benefit 俾人類。
冇錯啦，咁通常都係可能令到佢變做一個武器啦。
So you see, NASA, it's all lies. It's a front because Elon Musk and all these people sending rockets, just making a fire and going boom. They've had the ability to use anti-gravity since the 1960s and 1970s. So NASA's there to distract you and to tell you lies.
講緊譬如 Elon Musk 啊，佢而家就發射緊呢啲
發緊外星夢佢，
係發緊外星人啦，就話去火星啊，咁樣又發射啲科技發射嗰啲火箭啦，係一啲即係研究緊嗰個反重力嘅裝置啊。咁但係其實阿 Neil 話喺1960年、70年代其實一早已經有㗎啦呢啲嘢，即係。大家就俾佢呃咗啦，以為佢仲喺度研究緊呢啲話唔識啊，我哋都唔知咩叫 UFO 啊，所以
古早味嚟嘅呢啲。
冇錯啦，佢哋根本就已經解構晒所有嘢，掌握晒，只不過係呃緊你嚇我哋。
So the question is, when you say UFO, is it ours or is it theirs? And we'll come to all this as we go along. So let's go to the next slide. Let's miss out the next slide and let's go to the moon picture.
OK。
好啦，咁最後呢就話你見到啲 UFO， 咁大家可以諗下啦喎，究竟係真係外星人嘅 UFO 啦，定係呢一班精英嘅
執出嚟嘅
嘢
咧？
大家其實未必分得到喎，到時可以諗下。
好，係咪係下一張圖啦？跟住。
Okay, there's a question from our viewers.
Yes.
Why the ETs don't come to control the Earth directly? And is it possible in the future?
Well, they do control the Earth indirectly. They made us. Some groups of ETs, there's thousands of groups, right? some groups of ETs made us, and we will come on to that.
咁啊有。但係多謝頭先所謂嘅朋友問個問題啦，咁而家打翻咧就係阿 Neil 就話咧，其實佢哋某程度上咧係有控制到我哋嘅，咁因為咧其實過千種嘅外星人啦，咁其實我哋某啲係製造我哋嘅外星人嚟嘅喎。
I'm E.T.
The best way for them to involve themselves is to help further a conscious evolution in us. Not a physical interference and touch this and touch that and change this. No. A consciousness evolution. And that consciousness propels evolution and change.
嗱咁再進一步答個問題咧，就係與其話直接落嚟物理咁樣去管理嘅地球啦，即係或者接管我哋啦。咁其實更加需要咧係幫我哋嗰個意識啊，可以做到一個革命或者一個改進，咁樣咧先至可以引發到人類嘅改變或者整體嘅大改革嘅。
Okay. So let's go to the next slide. We can leave that one out because we discussed already, Linda, Leslie. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
The moon.
There's a moon. 好啦，咁啊起咗嚟啦，我哋睇下月球啲相啊。
There, for example, these are pictures. This is a picture on the moon, and you can see they've enhanced the tower, basically, just to let you know what it is. But that's an example of structures that are on the moon.
Enhanced structure, do you mean?
In other words, if they've helped let you see that tower, it's 5 miles tall. You just see it as a blur, but they've actually just coloured it in so you can see it.
Okay. 所以呢張相其實係有修飾過嘅，因為咧可能比較朦
冇咁清
係啦，開最 raw 嗰個相係比較朦嘅，咁所以而家已經幫大家即係斬走咗一啲雜質啦，咁啊見到好清楚呢個係一個5英里高嘅
一個
塔嚟嘅。
Okay, let's go to the next picture.
Okay.
Any idea who built those structures?
Well, we can speculate there are many, many different races out there, so it's very difficult to know which one. The most common thought is that on one hand it's some species of grey, and on the other hand they say it's Anunnaki. But this is very difficult to actually pinpoint which one it is. Now there you can see on the moon again, we're at a crater, and you can see all these shapes which are, geometrical. They don't occur naturally, but we can't actually say what they are, but they are remnants and they're on the moon and they're not talked about.
嗱，跟住咧就係見到呢啲係有啲軌跡啊，咁你見到係唔自然嘅，因為咧佢哋係譬如有直角啊，有啲線條啊咁樣，咁我哋好難知道係咩嘅外星人去做出嚟啦呢啲，咁可能係唔同嘅種族啦，譬如 Grace 啊或者 Anunnaki 都有機會嘅，咁大家即係暫時未知啦。咁但係你見到咧呢啲譬如痕跡啦，或者頭先嗰啲高塔咧，總之就係人為嘅，唔係天然造成㗎啦。
Okay, you can go to the next one. Now there, if you look at the left-hand side, you can see ruins of buildings.
左邊呢度咧，其實見到有啲係遺跡嚟嘅，好似係一啲建築物嘅遺跡嚟嘅。
If you go to the next picture,
好，下一張咧，我哋見到
there you see tracks. So something is moved along there. There's no water as such on the moon, not as such. And yet you have those furrows on the moon.
見到呢啲係軌跡嚟嘅，即係有嘢係行過。咁月球上係冇水㗎啦，咁所以呢一啲即係可能好耐以前啊，或者係有相當嘅重力啊咁樣喺度。
Let's go to the next picture. Now there you can see in a crater quite clearly is a pyramid.
呢度見到好清楚係喺個坑洞嗰度係見到金字塔啦。
係啊。
And that doesn't happen naturally. That is artificial. It's been put there, and I can assure you that's been hidden from you.
咁呢啲大家當然係喺 NASA 度唔會見到啦。咁啊呢度係好 明顯嚇
真係好
尖細角
明顯啊，係咪
咁樣
啊嗰個
係唔係天然啦嘅金字塔啦，係人為㗎啦。咁呢啲全部 NASA 都係隱瞞咗嘅，
冚住晒，
冚住晒嘅。
啲佢唔講。
Okay, you go to the next one.
OK，
And there you can see loads of pyramids.
我呢個真係好多，仲有好多啲金字塔喎。
All on the dark side, back side of the moon.
呢啲全部都喺月球背面嗰邊嘅。
Okay?
OK，
Now
But
we-
NASA said the backside of the moon has so many asteroids, so the surface might be all destroyed with all the holes and craters.
And the moral of the story is don't listen to them.
嗱，月球嘅背面咧，其實咧 NASA 咧就話因為好多小行星㗎，你睇下月球啊，凹凹凸凸啦，咁佢仲喺背面喎，即係幫我哋地球擋晒啲嘢啦。
嚟緊就話俾係
咪咯
撞，成日好興話
冇錯啦，
撞㗎嘛，
一定好多撞晒㗎。咁但係
Okay.
你見到呢啲全部都喺月球嘅背面喎，咁咧個故事教訓咧就係唔好聽
係啊，唔好聽 NASA 講嘢。
Okay, go to the next slide. Now there you can see the moon, and there's a UFO on the middle right-hand side.
哦，
This was
見到啦。
actually taken by a civilian who had a telescope on the moon, and he photographed that UFO.
呢個係平民，即係有嗰個望遠鏡所以影到嘅。你見到係月球上面啦，見到有個 UFO 啦，見到個飛碟啦。
Right? Now go to the next picture. When the astronauts went to the moon, this is just a drawing, of course. Secret communications were heard between the astronauts and NASA. And when they went onto a different channel, it was heard that one of the astronauts said, "My God, they're all at the edge of the crater, all these spaceships." So they were not alone. And that's just a drawing to show you.
嗱，呢個咧就係話當然呢個係示意圖啦。咁但係其實當時咧啲太空人咧係聽到即係或者睇到佢哋溝通緊嘅時候咧，聽到咧佢哋喺個坑，呢個係月球上面其中一個坑啦，就見到喺個邊咧上面全部都係啲飛碟嚟嘅喎。So many UFO they come to watch. What are you doing, humans?
Either to watch or to warn them. You know, don't bring your weapons and your bombs here, because the Americans at one stage were going to try to explode a nuclear weapon on the moon.
嗱咁嗰啲 UFO 嚟係有咩目的咧？係咪就係觀察住、監察住呢啲太空人咧？咁或者咧係一個警號嚟嘅，即係叫你哋喂，你哋唔好諗住搞搞震啊！即係因為美國當年咧其實有提過話帶核彈咧上去做一啲可能即係建築嘅嘢啊咁樣，咁佢可能其中係一個警號嚟嘅，警告嚟嘅。
Okay, let's go to the next slide. And we can miss that one because I think that's... Yeah, give the next one.
The next one.
Right.
Okay.
There we have a crater on the moon, and you can see clearly rectangular structures on the moon. Those are not natural. Those were built.
你見到呢度嗰坑嗰度咧有個長方形、正方形，係啦係啦，即係呢啲好明顯係人為嘅建築嚟㗎，就唔係天然造成嘅。
All right. Now we go to the next one.
Okay.
And there you can see quite clearly there are structures.
Like a city.
Like
Yeah.
a city. They're of course deserted, they're ruins, but they were there.
呢個就
哇
成個市鎮、成個
真係成個
城市
係咯
咁樣喎，好大啊，同埋好有規劃咁樣。
冇錯。
咁即係而家就係一個遺跡啦。咁但係你見到係曾經係有呢啲建築物喺度嘅。
Okay, go to the next slide. This is Dr. Ken Johnson. He was a director and at the Photo Control Center for the Moon missions, and he's become a whistleblower. They've almost ruined his life because NASA told him to throw away a lot of photos. A lot of these photos told him to throw away, and instead he kept them. Okay?
爆料啊！呢位爆料者。
He kept them. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see one of his photos.
好啦，咁呢位 Dr. Ken Johnson 咧就係 喺個太空總署月球任務個數據同埋照片控制主任嚟嘅，咁佢係爆料者啦。咁佢話當年咧 NASA 就話抌晒啲相嘅，咁係佢咧就 keep 翻係一啲機密嘅相片啦。
So there you can see all these like dish arrays, domes, or whether they technology we don't understand, but it's all laid out there.
呢度見到咧就係其中一張相佢 keep 起咗嘅，就係一啲典型嘅陣列啦，或者係外星基地嘅，就唔知係咩嚟嘅。咁但係總之呢啲咁嘅建築就喺月球上邊啦。
Let's go to the next one. Now there you can see like a tower with like a balloon on top. He was told to throw this away. He kept it. And there you can see what's on the moon. And NASA is lying because they just deny it.
咁啊 NASA 就唔會認噶啦，呢啲全部都否認噶啦。咁佢就呢張相見到好似有個建築物嗰個塔咁樣。咁有個係離開月球嘅表面都幾高。咁就係啦，有個物體咁樣啦，建築啦。
Okay, let's go to the next one. And there you can see Ken Johnson does a little drawing showing you what you can see on the horizon, where you can see statues, walls, a fallen head of a statue, ruins.
So there definitely has a city there or civilization
There were
there.
definitely were bases, certainly bases where these ETs were. Maybe it was 300,000 years ago. But what's also very interesting is that there were in the astronauts' photographs that were unfortunately I don't have them. I did have them from Ken Johnson. He sent to me a long time ago, where you can see rainbows, little rainbows, and what those are is prisms from the light of the domes. You can't see the domes, but you can see the light. You understand?
So
Because these domes are made of silicone, because there's less gravity there, so the silicone becomes very strong and transparent from the sand. They make these domes. And of course you could have biospheres. You could live inside these domes. You can have cities in them. And still standing on some of these shattered domes, and you can see the prisms. But I don't have that picture here.
即係其實講到咧，有一啲圓拱形嘅建築嘅，咁佢係like glass or silicon，
Yeah,
即係佢哋
it's
係
like
好
glass,
似玻璃啊，或者係一啲橡膠，即係呢啲物質嘅嘢啦。咁佢透光嘅，入邊咧係裏邊可能有啲彩虹類似嘅光喺入邊嘅。咁即係以前係有呢啲咁樣嘅建築嘅。
Okay, the next one. Another square structure from Ken.
呢個係另外一個正方形嘅建築啦，都係 can 嘅。
Let's go to the next one. You see a UFO.
係呢個另外一個 UFO 啦。
So he showed that one. You go to the next one. There's a square structure down there. It looks like a building that you could go inside. It's destroyed. It's old.
呢度見到係即係已經破壞咗嘅建築啦。其實可能黑色嗰啲部分係可以入去嘅。
係好似有個入到去咁。
Let's go to the next one. There you can see inside a crater. A crater should have nothing in the bottom because if it gets hit by an asteroid, it should be empty. But you can see there are old structures in there. And what those are actually domes that I was telling you about.
嗱，咁呢一個就係頭先講到嗰啲坑洞啊，因為咧如果係啲小衛星或者係啲碎石撞咗落去月球表面嘅時候，就會有呢啲坑洞出現啦。咁 suppose 係平㗎啦嘛。咁但係你見到呢個係有個建築啦，同埋咧即係想像啦，其實出邊係應該有個圓拱嘅 dome 咁樣咧，就係話可能係玻璃啊，或者係啲透明嘅物質啊，去保護住佢嘅。咁而頭先所講話就係裡面可能有啲彩虹啊，或者係啲折射光體啊咁樣嘅發生嘅。
Okay, go to the next picture and you'll see they've drawn in so you can understand the shape.
咁而家就示意咁樣可以睇一睇，大概咧就係所講個 dome 啦，嗰啲圓拱形咧，即係可能以前月球就係 有呢啲咁樣嘅建築。So this is an illustration.
That's
to
a real.
show-
That's real,
There's a real
picture, but the drawings on the outside to show you the shape.
呢個係真實圖片嚟㗎，咁但係畫咗上去啲紅色筆咧，就俾你睇到呢個就係嗰個圓拱形啦。
Okay.
So these are the silicone
Yeah.
for the glass.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
so
to the
it's
next
still
one.
There.
Yeah. Now you can just see some kind of structure in the middle left. Just go to the next one.
Okay.
Go through these quite quickly. Another structure there. And if you go to the next one, I want to show you, this is important because now we come to the part of the program where you see the NASA lies, that they paint out the pictures. Can you see how they paint out the pictures?
而家見到咧，即係證據確鑿啦。NASA 嗰啲相咧就係咁樣，好似小畫家嗰啲咁樣咧，即係唔係美圖秀秀添啊？小畫咁樣油咗佢咧，就等大家見唔到嗰啲建築啦。
Okay, go to the next one and you'll see another one painted out.
另外一張又係咁樣啦，
They paint them out. Now,
咁樣油走咗
有
佢。
油咗佢咯。
so what we're going to do now, we are now going to show you a short video where one of these photographic engineers went to the NASA laboratory and one of the staff there showed him that they were painting out the pictures of what's on the moon. Now watch this film. Carl Wolf.
好，我哋睇下第一條片 Carl Wolf 嗰段片啊。
Good morning. My name is Carl Wolf, and I was a precision electronics photographic repairman with a top secret crypto clearance in the United States Air Force. I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. In 1965, in mid-1965, I was loaned to the Lunar Orbiter Project at NASA on Langley Field. Dr. Colley was in charge of that project. They had problems with a piece of electronic equipment that was bottlenecking their production of photographs. I went to the facility, and when I walked into the facility, there were scientists from all over the world. I was stunned, actually, to see people at a NASA project from all over the world. It didn't make any sense to me initially. I was taken into the laboratory where the equipment was malfunctioning. I couldn't repair it in the dark. I asked to have it removed. A airman second class was in the dark room at that time. I was also an airman second class. I was interested in how the whole process functioned, how the data got from the lunar orbiter to the laboratory. I asked the young man if he'd describe the process to me. He did. About 30 minutes into the process, he said to me, in a very distressed way, by the way, we've discovered a base on the backside of the moon. And then he proceeded to put photographs down in front of me, and clearly in these photographs were structures, mushroom-shaped buildings, spherical buildings, and towers. And at that point, I was very concerned because I knew we were working on compartmentalized security. He had breached security, and I was actually frightened at that moment. And I did not question him any further. And a few moments later, someone did come into the room. I worked there for 3 more days, and I remember going home and naively thinking, I can't wait to hear about this on the evening news. And here it is, more than 30 years later, and I hope we hear about it tonight. And I will testify under oath before Congress that what I'm saying is the truth.
And have you noticed he's not testified because he's dead?
係呢位 Carl Wolf 已經過咗世㗎
已經過身
啦
啦，
所以咧你見唔到佢喺國會嗰度作證啦，係啦。
Now, if we just go to the next slide, I'll just tell you there's 2 more slides only.
Okay, some question first.
Yeah.
Well, some says that the moon is actually a man-made structure for influences to Earth, like watching. It's watching over Earth, or it's a man-made structure because the moon always faces to Earth, even though it orbits around us.
Yeah.
And the backside we would never able to see. So, is moon itself is a natural or man-made structure?
The moon, more than likely, according to various contactees like Alex Collier, it's more than likely an artificial satellite. Okay? Always faces us. It fits exactly the size of the sun during an eclipse. Okay? It controls the tides, women's menstrual cycles, the mindset. Full moon, people can sometimes go crazy, then less. There's an influence on this planet. Without the moon, it'd be very difficult to have life.
嗱，頭先咧我就問阿 Neil 咧，因為啲人咧就講月球咧係咪一個天然而成嘅個行星咧？因為咧佢淨係有一面對住我哋嘅啫。佢雖然咧係圍繞住地球咁樣轉啦，咁但係佢個 back side 咧，佢個背面咧係永遠都我哋見唔到嘅喎。咁 Neil 咧就話有即係可以咁講啦，好大可能咧就其實係一個人造嘅衛星嘅嘢嚟嘅。即係咧，因為大家都知道月球係控制水漲水退啦，咁同埋亦都會影響我哋嘅心智啦。即係譬如月圓之夜咧。係的確係有研究顯示咧，個犯罪率係會高啲嘅。咁同埋即係女性啊嗰啲月事啊，都會其實關月球事嘅。咁所以咧係好大機會咧，月球係真係一個人造嘅嘢。係啦，如果唔係咧，嗰個生命可能咧係冇而家咁繁榮嘅。係。
Okay.
And another question is, aside from the U.S., the Soviet Union actually landed moon before U.S. So is it saying that they are aware of the structure there and the UFOs there, and any implications on that cooperation with the ETs?
It's not a question of that. It's a question of, you see, anybody who goes into space, if they open their mouth, the forces behind NASA can remove them and never go to space again. Everybody keeps their mouth shut because they don't want the secret out. It doesn't help any country by putting the secret out. The elites of any country, whether it's India or anywhere else, they want to keep everybody in the dark. There's a section of humanity that knows everything, and the bulk of everybody doesn't know anything.
So it's not about countries. It's about the elites.
It's the elites. It's the elites who control the planet. They can't just go in and out of the moon without the permission of the Americans, unfortunately. That's just the fact.
咁我頭先就問阿 Neil 啦，咁除咗美國咧，其實美國唔係第一個登陸月球嘅人嚟嘅，其實係嗰陣嘅俄羅斯啦，即係蘇聯嗰陣係登陸先嘅。咁即之後其實譬如中國啦，或者係印度啦咁。其實佢哋同外星人嗰個接觸啊，或者合作，係咪已經係早過美國咧？譬如蘇聯咁樣。咁但係 Neil 就話呢個唔係主要嘅問題，主要嘅問題係任何人去太空，其實咧都其實係唔可以講，唔可以透露啲嘢嘅。咁呢個係唔關國家事啦，係上面嘅精英啦，係啦，即係所以佢話大家都見到啲推圖啦，咁其實你上到太空已經見到好多飛嚟飛去嘅 UFO 啦，咁但係大家都唔出聲，係因為真正操控住嘅咧係嗰班精英，所以佢係唔會俾你講嘢嘅。
You've seen the pictures. Whoever goes there sees those things, right? So that's the fact. Now there you see Clark McClelland. He's another NASA engineer. He testifies that he saw on the space shuttle a 9-foot alien in the cargo hold with the astronauts.
嗱，呢個其中係NASA 嘅工程師啊，咁佢話當年咧係喺個太空船嗰度啊，係見到一個9尺高嘅外星人嚟。How does he know it's alien?
Because he doesn't know anything that's 9 foot tall.
So is that the picture that he took for the 9 feet?
I can't confirm that that's the picture. I can't confirm. But that's the story. And he does openly still say this is what happened. So he's a whistleblower too. People are talking, and NASA's lying.
其中一名啦，呢個係爆料者咧，佢都話見到9尺嘅外星人。嗱，嗰個相未必係即係唔知係咪當年佢話見到嗰張相啦嚇。咁但係佢話的確係見到9尺高嘅外星人咧，係喺任務嗰度見到嘅。咁 again 啦，亦都證明咗 NASA 係講大話啦。咁其實我諗點解要重複講 NASA 講大話咧？有一個係大家都要留意清楚，無論美國或者係 NASA 或者去其他機構再發放出嚟嘅信息，大家都要好留意，去係咪真係去信晒係啦，相信佢再講嘅嘢咧。
Okay, go to the next slide. And there you can see Ben Rich. He was the CEO of Lockheed Skunk Works. I mean, it's the aerospace company, weapons company. He was once said at a conference that we already have the means to travel amongst the stars, but those technologies are locked up in black projects and would take an act of God to get them out and benefit humanity. He said they have the technology to take E.T. home.
嗱，呢位 Ben Rich 咧係其實佢係做啲航天科技嘅公司嚟嘅嗰間譬如戰機啊嗰啲，咁佢有做呢啲嘅。咁佢個 CEO 咧佢就話。佢嗰句啊，就係我哋有能力咧，係帶翻啲外星人翻屋企啊！即係佢哋咧，我哋地球人啊，其實已經有咗星際旅行嘅方法㗎啦，已經擁有呢啲技術啦。咁但係呢一啲技術咧，就好可惜係俾嗰啲 Black Projects 啊，即係精英嗰班啦，係 lock 死咗啊，係冇發放出嚟嘅。咁所以要靠即係天意啦，或者係神蹟啦，先至可以令到佢哋俾到出嚟，而 benefit humanity， 而可以祝福到人類嘅。
So there you can see, on the one hand, our worldview is that we just think rockets and this Elon Musk and that nonsense going up and coming down and going up and coming down, all that nonsense. But on the other hand, the real secret space program is happening. Now, we don't have enough time on this program to talk about the secret space program, but we're going to get through a lot of other stuff before we finally, in one of our programs, we will talk about it.
咁你見到其實我哋嗰個世界觀咧係變咗兩個層面啊，一個層面就係見到 Elon Musk 就成日都有講話發火箭啦，去又火星啊呢樣嗰樣。咁但係其實喺真正咧其實已經有進行緊好多秘密嘅太空計劃㗎啦。咁我哋暫時因為今日時間有限啦，咁可能講唔到啦。咁可能遲啲我哋會再 go into 呢個秘密嘅太空計劃嘅。
Okay, so now what I'd like to do is to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is John Wilson. He is a private citizen, and what John did, he created his own telescope, very, very powerful. He put in all sorts of filters. He put in infrared. He put in thermal imaging, and he was able to take some incredible shots, some incredible clips that I'm going to bring to you now and show you. Now, this is just a very simple one where you can keep it, where his telescopes pick up this cluster. Okay? He's looking at a thermal image. In other words, he's looking at the heat coming off these items.
咁啊，介紹一下John Watson 咧係阿 Neil 嘅好朋友嚟啦。咁佢係個普通嘅市民嚟嘅啫。咁但係佢研究咗一啲望遠鏡咧，係加入咗好多 filter 嘅。咁呢一類鏡咧，包括係譬如熱能探測啦，或者係紅外線啦。咁咧，俾佢可以影到好多唔同嘅 UFO 嘅。咁其中頭先你見到啦，係其中一啲 UFO 啦，咁仲有其他嘅嚟緊。
Okay, now let's do the next one. Here again, he's using a special filter. He's picked up what you can't see with your naked eye. If you look, you can't see this.
我哋如果用眼見唔到嘅呢個，
用啲特別嘅
like a sun
filter 先可以。
Yeah, he can see it through his special telescope. And there you can see
So is it temperature, different temperature,
different
or
fields,
colours? Different
different fields, and he's picking it up.
好得意。
You see? In the skies.
So is there a hole in the middle?
No, that's
No,
the
it's
object.
not.
That's
The
the object.
object.
That's the field around it. That's enabling its propulsion. Okay?
其實嗰個周圍嗰個就係成個磁場嘅網或者係個範圍，所以你見到佢喐緊嘅， 好，下一條。
Okay, let's look at this one now. A helicopter. Should have some sound, right?
Yeah, I can put more background. 我哋可以大聲。
I have a background music already.
佢哋有
Okay.
OK
There you see a helicopter, and you can see with this thermal camera, you can see the UFO playing with the helicopter. Look. You'll see there is, see? The yellow is the engine.
OK。
That's why it's that color. But under the blade is the UFO.
翼下邊嗰個就係個波，就係個 UFO 嚟嘅，係啦，黃色嗰個純粹係 engine 嚟嘅啫，係啦。
You see two of them, see? And they're just trying to zoom in a bit. It's very difficult with infrared to get very clear.
係有兩隻喺側邊嘅，同個直升機喺度玩緊咁。
And there it goes, and there it goes. It's playing around the helicopter, and there the helicopter, you can now see it in infrared.
They're flying around the helicopter.
Yeah, you can see it there, you see?
嗰兩點啦，大家見到。
見到，係啦，見到哇，有幾點嘢喺度圍住嚟飛。
Amazing, eh? He's an amazing guy, this. He's really very smart. All right, now this is one of my favorite you're going to see now. Watch this one. This is my favorite.
呢個係做
哇
like Harry Potter。
It's spinning round.
spinning
Beautiful, hey?
Yeah.
And there's little orbs going around it. Can you see?
yes 嗱，見到好多一點點圍住嗰啲 orbs。
So those little dots are UFOs.
UFOs. They're all UFOs. Everything there is UFOs. And NASA doesn't know anything. Come on.
哇，好得意喎！呢一個咁樣，呢個形態
係幾粒嘅嗰個光球係
係咯
自己喺度轉緊，
好得意咯。
係啦，佢自己喺度轉緊，同埋你見到佢周圍咧，好似有個能量場咁樣。
There's a load of them coming over.
哇，
See?
好多
好多喎！
The many。
哇，好多
Right. So somebody's lying to us all these years.
係啊
No?
即係連我哋，well even the civilians can able to catch those
You've got
UFOs.
this.
How come NASA says they don't know?
No,
So
yeah, they
this
don't know
is-
anything.
This is like catastrophic disclosure because now people can do it themselves and see
With
it
the technology.
without government telling them. You can now do it yourself and you can see these things.
其實 NASA 都冇得否認嘅，因為而家平民都可以即係利用一啲技術啊、科技啊咁樣去睇到好多，佢哋根本係冇得否認。So they're planning something else. They're disclosing, but
They're disclosing it
in
the way they
their
want you to hear
words.
it.
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine having disclosure now and they say, we don't know what they are.
and we need to take time to
You don't know what they are.
research and
You've got 9-foot alien on your space shuttle. You've got ruins on the moon. You've got contactees, people being abducted, and you don't know what they are? What's wrong with these people? They're liars. Absolute liars.
they have their own agenda and they want to achieve something else.
And I'm telling you what their agenda is. And I'm telling you what their agenda is.
好啦，咁咧頭先阿 Neil 都再重複講啊，NASA 你睇下，咁都話唔知發生咩事啊？有個9尺高嘅外星人喺佢哋嗰個太空船出
Spaceship 嗰度
嚟，
係咯，
佢都可以話
唔知
唔知，即係擘大眼講大話啦。咁所以其實佢哋唔係唔知，而係佢哋而家講出嚟咧，亦都唔係真係想透露俾你哋知，只不過係用佢哋想要嘅方法，或者佢哋想你知啲乜嘢咧，佢哋就 plan 先俾你知。
先俾你知。
咁究竟佢哋嗰個計劃係咩？佢 hidden agenda 係咩咧？咁阿 Neil 話我哋嚟緊會再講。
嚟緊會講嘅 Shirley 嚇，所以你可以
冇錯
稍
係繼續留意啊
你繼續留意係啦。
Okay, now what John did, he then focused to see what else is in the sky that belongs to us. And look what he found.
This belongs to us。
Secret space program.
呢個就係秘密太空計劃啦。呢個係我哋嘅
This is
太空
our
船嚟嘅喎，
係咯
唔係外星人㗎。
哇！
These are craft belong to the United States. And NASA doesn't talk about them. Nobody talks about them. And they're space platforms. They've got all sorts of stuff on board. Amazing stuff.
即係個 mothership
Yeah,
very
yeah.
big，
That's right.
好
Those
似個
are big.
母艦咁樣啊！大家見到好大隻。 And you can't see it.
You can't see
with
it.
the naked eye.
Not easy. You need to know where they are. You need to be able to zoom in with the right filters to see them. This is really advanced technology.
嗱，呢啲亦都係即係好唔係你哋大家肉眼或者普通可以見到嘅。
係咯。
You
So
see?
it's hard to distinguish whether it's
Well,
from us or from really.
it's getting harder and harder. It's getting harder and harder. In fact, all those films I showed you before with the tic-tac,
Yeah.
go slow and gimbal,
Yeah.
it's really, really hard, okay? Because even if they are ours, the technology came from the ETs. One way or the other. Okay?
So 嗱，上次我哋咪見到一啲滴答糖嗰啲咧，同埋有兼步或者飛得好快嗰啲 UFO 啦。咁其實咧，而家已經越嚟越難咧去分別究竟係我哋嘅啦，定係
真
係外星人嘅咧？
ET
因為就算係我哋人類做啦，嗰啲科技咧都係由外星人嗰度嚟嘅啫。咁所以係啦，即係大家要睇清楚，唔一定見到肉眼見到，或者我哋。或者俾 NASA 俾我哋見到嗰啲，
就算 NASA 講嘅嘢就唔好信，
係啦，就話
唔好信晒咯，係啊。
I mean, Luis Elizondo was saying, you know, we call them UAPs now, and these things were circling our warships, okay? And there were people were afraid, and they didn't know what they were, and they were doing this and going under the water. Da, 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 da. Well, you know, why is he putting a military angle on it? Why is he not saying these things were seen over the sea when people were on the beach? Or whatever? Why is it attached to the military? Why does he have to go on about that?
It's like a drama.
It's a drama. It's a narrative. They're steering you, you know.
嗱，Louis Elizondo 咧嗰陣咧就話你睇下啲 UFO 咧就喺我哋啲戰艦啊，或者係啲空軍基地啊嗰度喺度就見到呢啲 UFO 啦。咁所以咧佢係一個威脅啦。咁但係點解佢要將 UFO 拉埋係戰士或者係即係國防嗰方面呢？而唔係話喂我喺個船上邊嘆緊啊，或者喺沙灘嗰度就見到 UFO 啦？即係點解唔可以咁樣去楞埋一齊呢？係因為佢哋係有心將大家嘅個思想或者個諗法係向咗即係大風向啊，就吹咗去係國防嗰邊嘅，佢哋係想挑起戰事嘅呢一方面啊。
And that's why they say, you know, it's a threat to our national security. It's a threat. These things are a threat. But there's no hostile intent. They also admit that. They can't prove it's anything bad. But they do interrupt their nuclear missiles and play around with their equipment, yes.
即係嗱，其實你證明唔到佢係有惡意嘅，佢哋不停咧就用呢個字就係威脅啦，佢哋又可以 stop 咗啲導彈啊、啲核武啊，咁可以 stop 咗佢，咁就不停話係一個威脅嚟嘅。咁但係佢都唔可以否認咧，根本冇發生過任何攻擊嘅事件或者係惡意嘅即係企圖嘅，
即係成日一面倒都係佢哋去放呢啲消息出嚟咯。
冇錯啦。
Some of the scientists have said that the reason why the ETs do send their craft to stop the nuclear missiles, to deactivate them, is because the explosions more than likely affect the other dimensions.
其實有啲科學家有提出到咧，點解啲外星人咧會解除咗呢啲核彈嘅？因為咧如果係真係有啲核彈爆炸嘅時候咧，係好大機會影響到佢哋個維度嘅。係 interdimensional， 即係跨維度嘅影響嘅，咁所以外星人先至會插手呢樣嘢。
Yeah, so this is one of the things that's very important. Nuclear and ET, the two are tied in together. All right, let's go to the next one.
好，我哋睇下一條片啦。
Here you got a good shot of this saucer.
So this is a UFO with the top
Yeah.
head with two and shining inside as well.
Yeah.
你見到個飛
Using a
碟
filter.
啦，
And there you see a jet. And then you see this craft.
呢個銀色嗰個就係 UFO 嚟嘅。This is a silver
Silver
UFO。
UFO.
Yeah, that's it.
同埋頭先嗰個係飛機啦，你見到有嗰個有條尾。
Again, you couldn't see it with your naked eye. But he picked it up with his special filters.
應該肉眼都係
肉眼又
見到嘅。
睇唔到嗰啲嚟嘅，係啊。
It's very shiny。
Very shiny.
係 好撐眼。
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I'm starting to question whether this is
Ours
ours or
theirs.
theirs.
Well, that's a good question. These are more likely theirs. But it's you have to be very careful when you look at this stuff. Whose belongs to who. Just a few more moon structures here,
好啊，我哋有多
Moon
幾
structure.
幾張係月球嘅結構
which
啊。
John took with his telescope. He's actually from Earth, and he's focused on that crater. He found it, and this is on the front side of the moon, not the back.
呢個係正面嚟㗎啦，唔
犀利喎
係背面嘅，見到
係咯
係地球上係影到嘅，佢用
See, there's a tower. Can you see it in that crater? At the top, there's a tower.
哦，
You see? Now another crater. Look at the structures at the bottom.
可唔可以拉闊嗰個？不如我哋拉
大啲啊
闊拉大佢，
He's
再翻
filming
翻
from
前少
Earth.
少，係咯。
好犀利喎！佢係由地球嗰
嗰度
個
嗰個
望遠鏡，跟住加
影上去喎
filter 就影到咁勁啊！
OK，
There you go. From Earth, no lies. NASA, where are you? Why don't you tell us? NASA, why don't you tell us what's on the
阿
moon?
NASA
NASA.
飛到上去啊，都話見唔到嘢啊！
咪係咯
我哋地球嘅
See the
普通
tower？
平民已經見到啦。
Yes，
You see the tower? NASA, what is that tower? We don't know what they are.
大話精嚟嘅，真係仲
真係大話
話
精啊
唔知
真係
咩，跟住又話俾唔知10幾20年啊時間去啊整合下啲資料啊咁樣。
係啊，真係永遠都係大話精。
See, John's found another one in there. He's found all sorts of stuff all over
呢
the
個唔
moon.
係背面喎，係正
正
面啫
面喎
喎，已經見到咁多啦。
仲要係
NASA
地球
lies
影上去喎，好勁。
全部都大話嚟嘅講嗰
係啊，
啲
真係全部都係大話。
所以我哋睇月球啲相呢，我哋上網揾呢，來來去都係嗰幾張嘅，就只係變唔同色，因為佢執完就係執咗嗰張相出嚟。They never had new photos about the moon. But they are old photos for all these years, for like almost a decade, and they're all the same.
Programming you,
就是 some color
conditioning you,
change，
lying to you.
It's all lies.
just they change just
The
color
colour.
change yes
The American elite machine lies, causes wars, problems, and it's all to fund this elitist bullshit that goes on behind the scene. And we have to suck in this nonsense. And we are kept out for 70 years of the benefit what the ETs could give us. We locked out for 70 years, and these people must pay for it.
你諗下，即係70年前呢，其實啲 E.T. 已經有可能好多嘅即係正面嘅影響可以俾到我哋嘅。咁、但係所有嘢都 NASA 同埋佢後邊嗰
block
啲
咗
係啦，精英全部 block 晒，
晒。
即係唔俾我哋知道。所以 Neil 就話其實佢哋係終有一日需要為呢樣嘢負責嘅。
OK
All right, let's see the next one.
behind moon
That's the moon using a filter. So he's looking at the moon, he's putting different filters on it. Looking in this thermal imaging. And then you see,
Whoa.
now, a UFO
So
went
quick,
past. Then what she slows it down, and you can see clearly,
And very big.
very clearly, it goes
Yeah.
behind the moon. Here it
Yes.
comes again. There it goes, see? Now watch.
yeah 好快
Watch. John's got it perfect there. He's caught it. It's there. It's just going behind the moon and then out the other side.
哇
好快，頭先見到
衝落去啊佢係
喺月球後邊
係咯
嗰度飛過，同埋佢個好大隻嗰個 size 度。
係啊，因
And
為咁樣
NASA
影到好
says,
清晰。
we don't know what they are. How can you have 70 years of this bullshit? Now we got people, private citizens, able to film it and to show it to you, and this is going to be the way it goes. All right. And now for the next one. This UFO teases an aeroplane at an air show.
Air show, so
Everybody's watching, but they
watching.
can't see it.
哦，have to use filters。佢話喺個即係航空表演嗰度見到嘅，咁但係肉眼當時係見唔到嘅，係之後可能加 filter 加咗啲濾鏡先至見到原來有 UFO 喺度。
係喎， 咁係你唔用 filter，你根本睇唔到㗎嘛。
係啊係啊，同埋
呢啲真係
太快咧，
係啊
唔係咁遠，其實肉眼係望唔到。
There you go. See that?
但 NASA 係肯定掌握咗好多嘅資訊咯，同埋
佢一
咁多年，
佢根本就好清楚，
佢咁分好清楚，
好清楚
冇錯。
哇！哇，好大隻喎！呢個好清晰喎。
而家就已經哇好快添啊，仲係
哦，
真係好大隻
拍戲
喎！
啊！哇，幾大隻！大家睇到呢一個真係好近啊！
其實下邊嗰啲現場觀眾有機會見唔到啦，唔知
睇唔睇
唔知睇唔睇到
啦，係啦。
There
I
you
wonder
can
if
see
the
it.
audience can able to see it because it's so big。
They can see it.
呢個係
佢話就將少少
Moon
月球上面嘅建築物啦。
好。
Okay, he's back on the moon again, and you can see those two big holes.
Yes.
Can you see? Two big holes, tunnels into the moon.
啊
And now he moves it around, and you can see other little structures. You can see the shivering,
Yes.
because he's shooting from
shooting from
Earth.
Earth，
It's
呢個
the
又喺
atmosphere.
地球影上去嘅。你見到嗰兩個窿應該係啲隧道嚟嘅。
Here he goes, right into the crater. You can see the little structure in there. There you can see geometric shapes.
哦，你見到係一啲幾何嘅圖形嚟嘅，其實。
Those are not natural, those are structures. And in the crater.
即係呢啲係即係作唔係天然啊，
人為㗎
人為嘅，
係啊
唔係天然嘅，係咯。但係好犀利喎！即係咁樣影係嘛？
係
我哋即係我哋喺地球影上，我哋即係
唔係，其實我哋而家開始個電話咧都話影到月球嘅，影清楚啲嘅，未至於
Look at
咁
咩
美
咩
咁勁啦，係
係
咪？
啊，
Well, yeah, look at
嗱
that.
呢個就直情係有個 tower， 有個塔咁樣啦，
好犀利
喺個坑嗰度。
嗯，
Well,
係
you see, if we don't show you this kind of stuff to the audience of
You
Star
still
Radio,
believe
they
NASA？
won't know what's going on.
Yeah.
They won't find this on another program, will they?
Yeah.
Huh?
嗱，其他節目係睇唔到㗎呢
Like
啲。
Chefy,
I don't know him.
Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is.
this disgusting fat guy.
So we bring you all the stuff. Now, let's have a look at the next thing, which is quite shocking.
呢個有啲震撼啊！
Here you have a jet.
哇！呢嚿
This being
The UFO plays with the jet. There you can see with the filter.
咁你
And
見到
then he gets this picture.
This is with another filter。
This is what came into his camera, yeah?
哦，呢個係影到出嚟嘅喎，
係啊
冇加工㗎。Those are faces of like ETs。
That's what it looks like.
係咯，
呢個就係頭先嗰張相啊，嗰個 UFO 嗰度嗰張相嚟嘅。
Saying hello. Hi
係啊，真
there.
係咁喎！你睇唔睇到側
Give me
邊啊？咧
five
係喎，
側邊咧
佢真係
係
say
啊，
hi 嘅
好
喎。
似側面咁喎。好清楚喎，
好清楚
咁樣就影
係啊
佢咯
係啊，
你睇睇睇，
有眼
有眼啊
口，
係啦，呢一度
好清楚就係頭先 That's the picture we just saw with the jets。
You know, NASA, if you don't know what they are, you come to Star Radio and we'll tell you exactly what those things are.
係，嗱，如果你唔知嘅
我
話
send 條 link 俾你。
係啊，你可以上嚟星匯望啊
You，come to Hong Kong, China, and we will teach you.
我哋就
Yes
教你啦，係啦，NASA
阿
你話
Neil 就
唔知，
會教你
冇錯啦，NASA 你話唔知咩嚟嘅，
係啊，你咩都話唔知啊嘛。
好清楚喎，
OK
連即係如
冇啦係咪
果連
OK
我哋人都可以用我哋人有嘅技術都可以影得咁清楚嘅話，NASA 冇可能
冇可
啦。
能冇啦呢啲。
These are what we have the technology for us. We even have that. So
No, that's real. That's
Yeah,
that's
I
them.
know
That's
that.
not us. And I urge everybody on this program watching to share this program and tell everybody to keep sharing, and let everybody know what you are seeing here tonight, because there's no way that you would ever have seen this.
Vernon really can't see this. 哎呀！
And thanks to John Walson. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Thank you, John Walson. Thank you.
係啦，我哋要多謝 John Walson 啊，因為呢一啲咁震撼嘅照片啊，咁同埋大家即係呼籲大家一定要幫我哋分享出去啊，因為今次呢啲消息係好重要、好重要，同埋都俾大家知道咧，其實呢啲係真正嘅證據係見到 NASA 講大話，同埋實實在在係好多月球上面嘅照片係俾 NASA 隱瞞咗嘅。
There you can see. Please share this program with all your friends.
冇錯。
Let everybody know in different countries. Let everybody know that you are now outside of the NASA lies. You are now knowing the truth. You've seen it. You're experiencing it. You can share this. And there'll be more and more and more to come on this channel.
大家真係要 share 出去。
係啊，再次呼籲大家，無論係香港嘅朋友或者係分享俾外國嘅朋友都好，俾大家多啲知道，我哋而家已經開始知道個真相啦，唔會再俾 NASA 去嘅謊言呃咗啦。
冇錯。
亦都俾多啲人知道啊。
NASA 講大話咯。
冇錯啦。
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to now just come back a little bit to discuss one of the toys, one of the benefits of keeping the secret, is that when they had the crash at Roswell and other crashes, when they found the biological material, when they found the dead ETs, they realized after analysis that some of their DNA is human.
咁其中答翻頭先有位聽眾嘅疑問啦，其中一個佢哋得到嘅玩具啊，或者係益處啦，就係佢哋從墜毀咗嘅 UFO 上面咧嘅 ET 身上揾或者係啲生物上揾到嘅 DNA 咧係有啲特別過，我哋去片睇下。So here comes the video.
Okay.
I'm for the John's video. 第4條片。
My name is John Ramirez, and I served in CIA from 1984 to 2009. I had a 25-year career, and it culminated in me receiving the Career Intelligence Medal for my service. What was actually the secret of Roswell was, yes, there was a craft, and if it was just a craft, I think the government would readily disclose that. And yes, there were outer space beings on the craft. I think the government would disclose that eventually. But the fact that these beings had DNA that was found in the human genome, I think that is the actual secret of Roswell. I think that is a core secret of why the government will not talk about Roswell. Because to talk about Roswell, you will have to also talk about the occupants in the craft.
So, it's not that they have our DNA, is that we have their DNA. That's the reality. We have their DNA. We come from them. Now, how would you like the Pope to start telling you his Jesus story and this story and that story when we know we were made by these beings? It goes against the worldview. It goes against everything you know about religion. It goes against everything you know about science. Okay? And it starts to tie up with mythology and folklore.
嗱，咁咧頭先咧嗰條片咧講唔係外星人有我哋嘅基因喎，而係調翻轉我哋有外星人嘅基因喎。咁即係話其實好可能我哋係由外星人嗰度製造出嚟啦。咁大家試想下，呢一個係同我哋嗰個世界觀完全係有衝突嘅。我哋嘅世界觀啦、宗教啦、科學啦，甚至係 一啲遠古嗰啲傳說啊，呢啲全部都可能係觸及到嘅。咁所以諗下教宗又點樣去解釋點解我哋人類會有外星人嘅 DNA 咧？
係啦。
Yeah. So somebody was asking about the spinning UFO.
Yeah.
It's not ours, it's theirs. It's ET for a lot of reasons. And somebody was asking about if China knows what's on the moon. Sure, China knows. China knows a lot. I'm just hoping that China does a lot to help us in getting this out. This is what I hope. And India as well. Because they also have their probes on the moon, and Japan. So sooner or later, these countries will release more and more and more if America doesn't, because we can't keep holding ourselves back. This is the reality. Any more questions?
咁頭先答翻頭先嗰位聽眾嘅問題啦。咁佢話係啦，其實中國當然係知啦，中國仲去過月球嘅背面添。China has been to the back side of the moon as well, not only the front side。所以印度啦同埋日本啦，其實都上過月球嘅。咁呢就話，所以其實希望除咗佢哋知道咗之後咧，都可以發放多啲資料出嚟嘅，因為美國嗰邊就完全封閉晒啦，控制晒啦，同埋唔俾大家知啦。咁希望中國啊，或者係印度啊、日本啊，可以行出呢步，即係突破咗 NASA 講嘅謊言啦。係啦。
Yep. Are there any questions out there? People can ask some questions before we go into the next thing. I'm sure you must have lots of questions.
大家仲有冇啲咩問題可以答咗先嘅？咁我哋
可以睇下
去下一 part 之前，
睇下先。
美國佬冇一句真話啦。
Extraterrestrial. Any other ones there?
係啦 ，Sphere drone is from ET or not? Yes, it's from ET。同埋其中有一位咧就話美國外星電影都係啲精英有，
其實美國不嬲都係一啲英雄主義啊呢啲嘅，
同埋佢有講嘅，其實有啲片係有透露嘅。Some movies have disclosed about the elites and the secret governments.
Yes, there's a lot of it. Yes, there's a lot of documentaries, especially from Stephen Greer, Dr. Greer. He does a lot of these programs. Unacknowledged is one of the films you should watch.
Unacknowledged 係大家可以睇下 Dr. Stephen Greer 嘅有一套 Unacknowledged 嘅，咁佢都係有好多資料，大家可以睇下嘅。
The Disclosure Project.
Disclosure Project 啦，另外一個
It's called Disclosure Project 2001. It's about 2 hours long. It has about 400 military whistleblowers.
咁嗰個 Disclosure Project 2001咧係有超過400位嘅泄密者啦。係啦，咁大家可以睇嘅係 Dr. Stephen Greer 嘅，係啦。跟住另外有位朋友咧就話美國佬冇一句真話啦，講真話只會騙財嘅。So one of them said, the U.S. has no truth. They all they tell us are just lies, and they want to capture the money just for money.
Well, their military industrial complex employs millions and millions and millions of people, and makes lots and lots and lots of weapons. And if you think about it, the only way you can pay salaries and earn money is to have a war. Right? You get this one against this one, this country against this country, or you arm this country, and then that country needs to be armed, and you sell the weapons and everybody kills each other.
咁其實軍工嗰邊咧，其實請即係過百萬嘅人啦，係不停係製造武器嘅。咁所以點樣可以賺錢咧？點樣可以出人工咧？就係多啲打仗。
打仗咯，最中意打仗。
係啦，咁你左打右，咁佢咪兩邊都賣武器，咁佢咪可以 sell 到咯。
而家都不停咁做緊㗎啦。
係啦，
一直都做緊。
而佢哋嗰個 space program 一樣都係行住呢條路。So they are doing the same for the space program.
They're doing the same for the space program. You see, we have some very good people in America too. I mean, we've got bad ones, very bad. But we've also got some good ones in the government now trying to help get this out. But they can't. They're trying and trying. They will get it out. It will happen. But right now, there are big fights going on because the elites want to still lock these programs up. And government can't get to them. Okay, but more and more whistleblowers are coming out. It's going to be very difficult to contain it. That's why I said disclosure will happen.
咁其實美國除咗一啲好壞嘅人之外咧，都有啲好嘅，咁所以咧好多人都爭取緊呢個泄密嘅，咁就同精英嗰邊打緊仗啦，即係都好多泄密者都喺度爭取緊去將啲資料講出嚟嘅，咁就所以話最後咧係一定會講噶啦，咁問題係 the question is whether the narratives are controlled narratives。controlled by NASA or the secret government or whatever.
Secret government controls NASA. Secret government controls all the investment in the churches and the CIA and all that sort of group of collective elite that the elites have their hands in, and the financial sector as well. You know, so they're all interlocking directorships and partnerships, uneasy truce between them all. It's called the military metaphysic. And that's how they control all aspects of your worldview, of what you believe to be reality. They create your reality.
So they will control whether they will be able to control the narratives about the disclosure. Or
They're doing that now.
they want to do it
They've
now.
changed the name from UFO to UAP.
Yes. 係啊，即係頭先講到佢哋會泄密。佢哋會公開嘅，咁但係公開嘅時候，大家都可能要小心啲，因為你唔知佢係咪想帶風向，叫你講緊第二啲嘢嘅。咁同埋即係嗰啲秘密政府，佢後邊係唔係後邊佢控制住前面好多唔同嘅機構，包括金融機構啦、宗教啦、教育啦、去醫療啊，或者好多唔同嘅，都係幫助緊佢去完成佢哋嘅一個。即係 cover up 嘅任務嘅，咁所以係啦，咁大家就留意啦，到時佢哋講嘅嘢。
其實好多問題嘅。
係 I want to ask any comment about
Foxy. Hi Neil, how does the things behind the moon affect us as normal people?
Okay, well, it's just behind the moon there are still active bases where the ETs do come and go, and there's activities, there's mining of helium-3. It's a special element, helium-3. There's mining behind the moon. So from that point of view, it affects us that the less we know, the more it affects us, because we are not advancing. The whole purpose of our lives is to advance and evolve. And by this going on, without us knowing it, is holding us back.
好啦，咁頭先個問題咧就係話其實知道譬如月球背面係有啲咩對我哋有咩影響咧？咁頭先呢個解釋其實咧月球背面咧。嗰啲 ET 咧，即係外星人咧，係做緊啲掘礦嘅，譬如話helium-3啊，有一種礦物質。咁我哋越多知道咧，我哋就知道其實我哋係冇進步緊。即係如果我哋知道原來有一啲物質係可以某啲撞嘅時候咧，咁我哋人類先至可以更進一步，同埋可以進步噶嘛。咁呢個就係點樣影響我哋咯。
Okay.
Okay, there's one there about the KGB.
Venon, I want to ask you any comment about the live alien videos from KGB.
Okay, if you're talking about Skinny Bob, the Skinny Bob live alien video, let me first of all tell you that the person who posted that we know of is a little bit crazy. Now, some of the footage of some of the stuff in that video is real, but when you listen to the sound of the projector going tick, 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 that comes off GarageBand. It's a sound effect that you can buy online. So the projector sound is superimposed on the film. The picture of Skinny Bob with his ET face closing his eyes and opening his eyes, it's very difficult to tell. It's very difficult. It looks very, very, very real, Skinny Bob. And then they show you the long arms hanging down the fingers. Well, I've seen similar pictures of that in drawing form on the Special Operations Manual. So it's one of those situations where I wouldn't swear in it that it was true, but it is very possible. It's very possible.
好啦，頭先答翻個問題啊，KGB 嗰條片係唔係 Skinny Bob 嗰條片啊？咁阿 Neil 就話有啲係可能係真嘅，咁但係咧佢條聲咧就其實可以 online 買到嘅，咁同埋 佢其實比較難去分別係真定假啦。咁但係佢覺得有機會嘅，係啦，佢唔能夠確實話係真係100%真嘅。咁但係喺有啲特別嘅行動嗰度係有見到個 Skinny Bob 嘅繪圖嘅，係啦。咁所以有機會係真嘅，係啦。
OK。
Those movies talk about stargates. Is it close to reality or just fictional? The Stargate situation, I always put it into the secret space program. Because some of those people who were guinea pigs, it seems to be a program, the secret space program. There's a lot of human guinea pigs where they've used human beings and really abused them in this program. Okay? So, one of them is Eisenhower's granddaughter. Remember, not the one that's going to come on the show, the other one. That was supposedly in this mind control program, and they all went to Mars and this kind of stuff through Stargates. Well, I'm sure they have some kind of Stargate where they get interdimensional information. I've no doubt about that. Whether they're actually traveling and teleporting through Stargates is something I can't confirm because I'm not sure, because the people and the whistleblowers involved don't appear to be too credible at this point. Or let's say, from my standard, they're not credible enough. Even though some of them hold very high qualifications. One of them is a lawyer, and he went through one of these kind of jump rooms, they call them. The Stargates are jump rooms, where you jump in and you end up in another place, in another planet, if you like. So there is something to it. Whether it's just a mental projection that gets transported or whether it's actually physical, as they claim, at this point in time, it's a little too early to see through the mist. Because these programs are very secretive and they destroy a lot of the people's minds. And these people are not normal when they come out of there and you talk to them. You can tell. They're all over the place with all sorts of imaginary things.
好啦，咁答翻頭先星門嗰個問題啊，咁Stargate係啦，咁呢個會歸納為其中一個秘密嘅太空計劃嚟嘅。咁因為好多人咧係真係做咗白老鼠而俾佢捉咗去做實驗。都係有啲虐待啊，或者係即係真係純粹利用人即係做工具咁樣去實驗嘅。咁譬如Eisenhower 嘅孫女啦，其實都有話去過火星嘅，即係透過嗰個星門。咁但係阿 Neil 就話其實佢確實唔到啊。即係嘅，我哋的確有咁樣嘅能力去做到嗰個。跨維度啊，嗰個傳送嘅，咁但係咪真係可以肉身咁樣去到外星？呢個係暫時未能夠確實嘅。咁因為出嚟嘅involve 即係涉及嘅人咧，未係好充分咁樣可以信賴啊，即係唔係話佢哋全部唔可信係啦，只不過係可能需要多啲資料或者係。遲啲再睇下先至可以進一步確實啦，係啦，暫時係唔能夠好俾到一個確實嘅答案大家嘅，係啦。
See, when you dealing with people who are dealing with ETs, you must understand that the ET technology is thousands of years in advance. So anything is possible. The only point is that for me to explain something to you is that I have to understand what I'm explaining. And I'm only prepared to go so far into it before it becomes too speculative. Because I don't want to mislead you, so I only want to tell you that much that I can understand. But these beings are thousands of years advanced.
好啦，咁解釋下，其實外星人嘅科技咧係比我哋過千年咁樣嘅進步嘅，咁所以任何嘢都有可能，只不過係阿 Neil 就希望佢明白嘅嘢，佢先至會解釋出嚟嘅，咁就唔想咁快下個定論啦，或者去即係令到大家誤解啊，咁所以唔會咁確實俾咗個答案先咯。係啦。 Okay, so shall we go to the
Okay.
next video?
Let's go to the next video. Let's first of all explain before we do it
Okay.
that in the 1970s there was a space shuttle mission that went up, and the whole point of this space shuttle was to launch a long tether, a long cord, to collect energy.
好啦，咁咧喺90年代啊嗰陣係90年代嗰陣咧，其實有一個計劃咧係放一條好長嘅繩啊，或者係嗰啲電纜啊，係去到太空嗰度，係專係收集一啲能量嘅。
And what actually happened when this cord went out into space, and you'll see this on the video, the cord broke and separated from the shuttle.
咁大家陣間會見到喺條片嗰度咧有條好長嘅電纜啦，咁但係佢係同太空船咧係斷咗嘅。
And when it separated from the shuttle, it curled up.
佢斷咗嘅時候咧，你見到佢係攣咗嘅，喺度捲埋㗎啦。
And then the whole area was swarmed by UFOs. Loads of them, hundreds of them.
咁你見到嗰個位咧就好多 UFO 攏晒埋去啦，有過百架 UFO， 應該可以睇下。
The only reason why we have this film is because NASA hid it. But in Canada, there was a satellite station that had its equipment tuned in, and it happened to see all this, and lucky the guy there in Canada recorded it.
嗱，點解我哋會見到咧？個原因就 NASA 一定會收埋噶嘛。個原因係因為加拿大嗰度咧係有個衛星係 catch 到影到嘅，而咁好彩嗰個人咧就錄到，跟住收埋咗條片，所以先流咗出嚟俾大家見到啊！
正啊呢個。
And he let it out before anybody could stop him. He spread it.
佢嗱嗱聲係俾任何人可以係點即刻放出嚟啦，等其他人捉唔到佢。
So NASA came back and said, guess what they said? Those are pieces of ice.
嗱，睇下大家見唔見到係咪冰啦？NASA 話嗰啲係冰嚟嘅啫。
Now, in space, if you put anything in space and you move it in space, it can only go in a straight line.
其實大家見到，因為太空係冇空氣 ，space has no air, no wind。因為太空係冇空氣，都冇風啦。咁所以咧，你放任何嘢喺太空嗰度咧，佢都只會係直線嘅啫。
Okay, but these craft, what we've done, we've put what's called a velocity tail. That means you can see the track where they've been. And if you watch carefully, you'll see some of these move, stop, come back again. Some move, U-turn, some wiggle, which is impossible for ice crystals.
嗱，咁喺我哋條片嗰度咧，我哋就加咗啲佢個軌跡啊，即係見到佢點樣行。咁你會見到有啲係行下停下，一係又轉彎或者褪翻轉頭，或者係Z形咁樣去行嘅。咁呢啲就冰係絕對唔會咁樣做啦。
But let's run the video and you take a look.
好，而家睇啦。
哎呀，我哋睇一睇。
Portions of Africa.
Well, that's pretty amazing, and we were wondering if we were going to be able to see it at 20 kilometers.
Well, that is an excellent data point, I guess, in the cosmic scheme of things, though, even 719 miles is right next door.
We record steadily the whole break and coil back to the tether. The tether has broken at
So somebody's telling lies, aren't they?
Yeah.
Definitely, those are ice.
Ice, yes.
Well,
Can fly
Ice
and
crystal.
stop.
and they all look the same, and they're all coming inwards
Yeah.
towards the tether.
Why? What's the reason?
Well, because we are under observation all the time. And when we are advancing and doing experiments, the ETs come and have a look, except you're never told about it. In this case, we're very lucky. This Canadian satellite station recorded it. And now you can see for yourself with the velocity tail how they curve, move like this, and they're not pieces of ice.
嗱，其實咧，即係話我哋地球人咧做啲咩實驗啊，或者呢啲喺太空度做嘅嘢咧，其實所有嘢都佢哋會睇住嘅。咁今次好好彩啦，就因為有加拿大嗰邊就捕捉到呢個咁嘅畫面啦，咁所以就見到原來我哋所做嘅嘢咧，佢哋都好關注，同埋會即刻走嚟睇嘅。
OK。
Okay, any other questions come through?
可以放翻，我哋咪冇晒片嘅。
So those are all the videos, right?
Yeah.
OK。
There's a good chance for you to ask questions. If anybody wants to know who or what is there exactly.
It's one ancient Germany pictures depicted.
Did we show any ancient Germany pictures? Actually, you might be talking about pictures that are seen in Germany from the Werner von Braun days, yes. They're called the Hannibal. That's kind of a flying saucer. We think it had an atomic reactor inside it that created like some kind of wind underneath it with electrons coming down and giving it lift.
The Nazi bell.
Yeah, the Nazi bell electromagnetic. I don't think it was anti-gravity as such. May have been. But that's certainly one of the reasons why the Americans were very interested in the science and the programs that the Germans had.
答翻Nazi bell 嗰個咧，咁啊呢話好可能咧，即係佢未至於係真係反重力嘅裝置嚟嘅，佢應該下邊係有啲裝置係可能點樣提起啊，即係點樣啲空氣點樣運行啊，所以佢令到佢可以升得起，但係唔係真係 exactly 係反重力裝置嚟嘅。咁但係都可以解釋到點解美國對於德國嘅科學家咁有興趣，同埋佢覺得係可以叫佢幫手去研究啲科技啊，或者係火箭啊咁樣。
So now you're living in some very, very, very important times now. You're actually living in a critical period where technology is catching up with what NASA's doing, and that means people individually are going to be able more and more to get to the truth through their own technology and also through the whistleblowers who have guilty consciences.
而家係一個好關鍵嘅時候嚟嘅，因為我哋民用嘅技術咧越嚟越發達啦，亦都可以就嚟 catch up 到 NASA 有嘅科技啦，或者係至少我哋喺地球可以見到影到月球上邊嘅表面啦，係咪？好 detail 咁所以亦都係咁，所以啲真相啦開始浮面啦，同埋好多示密者都出嚟啦，因為佢良心嘅問題啦，佢覺得佢需要公開俾大家知道啦。咁所以呢段時候係好重要去知道個真相嘅。
冇錯。
And I find it amazing that if you go out into the streets and you talk to people, they don't know what you're talking about. They think you're crazy. You can't bring it up. I've had so many people who were friends who are no longer friends because they think I'm nuts.
即係亦都好奇怪係的確嘅，我哋即係出邊身為周邊嘅人啊，或者你走出街同人哋講呢啲嘢咧，人哋都可能覺得我哋黐線啊，即係傻點解 UFO 咁關我咩事啊，或者點解會信埋呢啲嘢啊咁樣。咁即係佢哋係仲未知道仲有第二個世界係發生緊咩事咯。
And in this exo field, there are many, many, many different sections that involve contact. For example, near-death experiences.
咁其實喺呢個外星人嗰個範圍嗰度咧，都有好多唔同嘅部分嘅，譬如話一啲接觸個案啦，或者係瀕死經歷啦，即係呢啲其實都有關係到嘅，所以其實嗰個範圍係好廣嘅。
And the near-death experiences, people people are actually dead for maybe 20 minutes or something, and they see themselves above an operating table, or they see a whole different world. They go into a complete different realm, and they have an experience with these beings across there, with spirits, with people who are dead or ascended masters.
即係喺瀕死經歷嗰啲人咧，可能係可能去到20分鐘咁樣係經歷過死亡。咁佢哋可能見到自己喺個手術台上面啦，有個即係出體嘅經歷啦。咁或者係甚至去到另外一個世界係見到唔同嘅物體啦，完全唔同嘅世界都可以嘅。
The other form of contact is what they call an OBE, an out-of-body experience.
其他另外有一個叫做係啦出體嘅體驗咧，就可以令到人即係你唔使瀕死咁，但係有個出體嘅體驗可以俾你見到你出體個經歷係點樣咧。
Now, the out-of-body experience is something that happened to me, and this really changed my life. It happened maybe 35 years ago, and
阿 Neil 又試過3-5年前啦，佢都試過呢個出體經歷嘅，係改變咗佢一生嘅。
And I'll tell you the story. It's in my book that I wrote.
阿 Neil 可以講下佢嘅故仔啦，同埋佢喺佢自己本書度有寫嘅。
I was sleeping in London, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, I suddenly woke up, and I realized I was sitting up, but I could see myself on the bed.
係啊 ，Neil 話嗰陣係啊，佢話嗰陣喺倫敦啊，嗰陣瞓緊覺嘅本身，咁凌晨3點鐘咧，突然間醒咗就坐起身，就見到自己喺張床度瞓緊覺啦。
自己起咗身係啦，望到自己
瞓緊覺，
瞓喺張床度。
So I decided to close my eyes and maybe open them again, but closing the eyes had no effect.
跟住試下眯埋眼，再開眼睇下發生咩事啦，係咪可以醒得翻？點知係一樣喎，冇用喎，眯埋眼都。
And in a very strange way, I could see all around me, 360 degrees.
佢話突然間睇嘢係可以360度睇喎，我哋隻眼就睇到前面。係啊
，because my consciousness or my ethereal body with my consciousness was outside. It was an OBE. It was outside the body. It was an out-of-body experience.
因為個意識已經係超越咗個肉體啦。
And then I stood up and I thought, this is cool.
起身啊，覺得好正啊，好似拍戲咁。
But when I looked down, on each side of me were 2 very small beings of light.
阿 Neil 話佢望翻落去就見到佢側邊有啲好細嘅人仔喎。
Each one had their hand gently on my shoulder, on my elbow, on each side. Very, very gentle, very, very warm, very, very radiating this loving feeling.
咁佢嗰啲即係人仔嗰啲生物咧，係拎住佢隻手，托住隻手，個感覺係好温柔啦，好暖啦，同埋好有愛嘅感覺。
And then they started to move me, and I went through the wall. I went through the wall. Sorry, but
係啦，咁佢話嗰啲人嗰啲生物咧就托住佢啦，抱住佢咁樣。可以穿後牆喎，穿牆喎。But because this is your consciousness or your soul.
I still had a kind of a body. It was light.
Yeah, so it's real.
But they took me from St John's Wood in London, which is the centre of London, about 8 miles maybe, to North London. Okay? They took me, and I felt this icy cold kind of temperature around my body.
咁佢話帶咗佢去8英里外嘅倫敦嘅北部啊，咁佢就覺得好凍添嗰個感覺。
And I tried to look at them and get some reaction, but for some reason, they were more concerned about moving me than looking at me.
咁其實佢諗住有啲反應咁樣啦，點知咧佢話嗰啲人仔咧就好似忙於搬去啫，搬走人哋話，佢就冇理佢嘅感受咁樣話。
And then to try to explain this to you is very hard, but it wasn't like being in an aeroplane and looking down. Instead, I was inside the matrix.
What matrix?
If you imagine everything here you see is stuck to a matrix, let's say. It's stuck to something else, the reality. They took me behind it.
You feel like you...
No, they took me behind it, behind the structure. So I could, from there looking out, would be from the inside. If this was all glass, I'd be on the other side looking in.
So how the matrix looks like? Is it a grid or...
Well, it must be a grid of some sort, but the whole reality is stuck to the matrix. So it's like, let's say everything was glass. I was now outside. I could see you all inside.
Huh?
Okay, so I'm not actually inside with you. I'm outside.
So how do you know is there's a wall in the
It's
middle?
not a wall. It's like
a mist or
yeah,
you feel it?
No, it's there's a genuine matrix, but it's very hard to put words to it because I've never seen that before or understood it. You know, it's very, very difficult to explain, but that's what happened. I was looking in from the outside, maybe from another dimension, looking in, maybe.
呢個比較難解釋。佢話咧，好似見到佢嗱呢個世界就好似有個 matrix 或者有道牆，或者係有個網咁樣去圍住、去阻隔住嘅。咁嗰啲 B 型咧就帶佢去咗呢個 matrix 嘅後邊睇翻轉頭。
係咯。
即係我問咗佢好耐，究竟係啲霧啊，定係玻璃啊，定係一啲網啊？咁佢話，但係其實解釋唔到嘅。總之佢就知道係一個 matrix 咁樣。而佢睇翻轉頭就係話，我已經超越咗我哋嗰個限制啦。
佢冇一個形容詞可以講到出嚟，佢都話佢都唔知點樣講。
It's like he says, like the soul out of the body. It's quite right. It's exactly what it was, but outside of the matrix looking in. So they took me, and to my surprise, I could see that they were at my mother's house. Okay? So I was outside looking in, and I could see my mother's house upstairs very clearly.
即係佢就話佢見到佢媽媽間屋好清楚嘅，佢走咗出去之後。
And then I saw my mother stumble, holding her chest out of the bed, difficulty breathing, and then she walked out the room, and she walked into the hallway, and she held onto the staircase banister.
佢話見到佢媽媽好似唞唔到氣咁樣，好辛苦。跟住就喺床嗰度行咗出去走廊嗰度。
And I could feel her life force leaving her.
佢話佢感覺到佢媽媽嗰個生命力開始離開佢。
Now remember, she can't see me.
Yeah.
Okay? But I can see her, and I can see what's happening, and I'm panicking because what can I do?
Yes.
And she's now on her knees holding onto the banister.
我話咁當時係得佢見到佢媽媽啫，佢媽媽見唔到佢噶嘛。咁但係佢就乜都做唔到，佢就只可以即係好緊張啦。佢見到佢嗰陣，媽媽已經跪咗喺地下嗰度啦，即係掹住埲牆係啦。
And then one of the beings, or ETs, let go of my arm and went through the matrix into the house. Went up to her, and I didn't understand what was actually going on, but what I watched her mother relax, and then stand up, and then basically straighten herself out, and looking around, feeling her chest, and then looked very, very bewildered, very confused, and sat like that for a minute or so, stood like that for a minute, and then went back into her bedroom.
嗱，咁咧佢話當時咧， 其中一個 B 型咧，即係本身係托住佢手噶嘛，撐住佢噶嘛。
嗯。
咁就放低咗佢，跟住就走入去嗰個 matrix 嗰度，
去咗佢媽媽
入咗間屋，跟住咧就去咗佢媽媽嗰度。佢見唔到佢嗰個 B 型係做乜嘢嘅，但係佢就見到佢媽媽咧開始放鬆咗，企得翻起身，咁啊周圍望下啦，咁同埋即係感受下嗰個心口啊，就開始覺得舒服咗啲啦，咁啊即係企翻喺度，慢慢就行翻入房啦。
And then the ET came back to me and came through this matrix, one on each side, and almost immediately brought me back to St. John's Wood to where I was sitting on the bed within a fraction of a second.
咁跟住嗰個 ET 咧就入翻嚟，即係去翻個 matrix， 即係去翻呢嗰度啦。咁即刻啊！即係佢話係短嗰1秒嘅時間就即刻翻去佢間倫敦嗰間屋嗰度。
And when I hit the bed, my body jumped. My real body jumped.
佢入翻去身體嘅時候，佢成個身體啊，淨跳起咁樣啦。
And I hit it, went in.
It's like movie.
I went in, and it burned. My skin was like somebody whacked you like that. All over was burning, absolutely burning.
So your soul just like
bang,
like
elastic.
係好似打翻佢靈魂入去咁樣，係啊。佢話佢感覺到個身體好似燒咁樣，係啊，嗰個感覺。
好誇張呢個，好神奇。
So I'm back, and I'm now looking to see if at my body what it is and what's happening, and I'm thinking, it's like maybe 3:10 in the morning. What do I do? So the whole night I sat up and sat up and sat up, and I thought I've got to phone my mother. See what happened. I thought I can't phone her, it's too early. She'll think I'm nuts. Everybody will think I'm nuts if I start talking on the phone now. I waited at 7 o'clock. I thought, well, 7 o'clock's it's early, but it's reasonable, but maybe she's tired, whatever. So I thought 8 o'clock, and then I started to doubt myself. Should I call? Should I not call? Come 9 o'clock, I picked up the phone, and I called my mother. I said, hello? She says, hello, Neil. I said, you okay? She says, why? I said, do you remember anything at 3 o'clock this morning? She said, oh my God, how the hell do you know? I said, did you stumble and you're holding your chest? My God, where were you? How did you know? I said, you know what? I saw the whole thing. I saw everything. I said, you were having some trouble breathing with your heart. How do you know?
Wow.
And then all of a sudden it went away, right? Did you not see the being come and help you? I never saw anything. No being, nothing. 1 minute I'm nearly choking. I can't breathe. A pain in my chest. I fall down. And the next minute it eases. And then I get up. And she said, I'm wondering what was wrong. Was this going to pass? Is it going to come back? But she said, I felt fine. And then I went back to bed. Well, I told her the whole story, what I saw. Well, that day I went there, explained the story to her, and she was quite accepting of it because it tied up with what happened. A month later, when I brought up the story, her story changed. 3 months later, changed again. And the reason was very, very simple. She could not digest it. She could not absorb it. It was outside of her understanding. It's just human nature. It's a protective mechanism.
咁啊，講翻阿 Neil 翻上床啦，佢嘅靈魂係啦，翻肉體，跟住咧佢就本身凌晨3點幾咧，佢就諗住打俾佢媽媽，點知就因為佢覺得太早啦，咁咧所以咧佢就話等到9點鐘先至打俾佢啦，跟住佢就同佢媽媽講：你尋晚記唔記得發生咩事啊？跟住佢 媽媽就話嚇，點解你會知道嘅 ？Oh my god 咁樣，
好唔信啊！呢個係
好難以置信。
接受
跟住阿
啊！呢
Neil
個
就講翻你嗰陣啊，你係咪唔舒服啊？你有冇見到個 B 型過嚟幫你啊？佢話完全見唔到，任何嘢都見唔到嘅。咁跟住佢解釋咗成件事啦，亦都大家 match 翻件事嘅，係真係無啦啦啊！真係大家覺得好翻好多啦，
突然間
咁樣。咁但係即係嗰陣其實佢媽媽係接受咗嘅，因為真係解釋唔到點解突然間會冇事啦個心口。咁但係佢過咗1個月之後咧，佢媽媽就改變咗嗰個故仔啊。
係
咁阿 Neil 就解釋，可能係因為即係始終人嗰個尤其是老人家啦，咁可能佢對成件事消化唔到，或者佢明白呢個世界嘅嘢根本唔關事，咁所以佢就即係自己可能改咗嗰個故仔啊咁樣咯。係
OK。
Okay, there's one question there. Somebody is saying, is it Maya?
Oh, the Maya calendar.
Maya calendar.
People transform to interdimensional beings. Is that true? Don't you guys think that Matrix being collapsed?
Okay, let me tell you all this stuff. You've got to be very, very careful. When there's a truth embargo, when people hide the truth, you get people who are pseudo-experts, not real experts, that form a cult and form a religion around the cult and start talking about all this nonsense, about turning into light and interdimensional beings, and you get all these crazy people coming out. It's not their fault. It's because the truth is hidden. So people come into this kind of weirdness, weird ideas, taking advantage of the secrecy and putting their own story. And unfortunately, you get a lot of people following it. They take a little bit of truth from the Mayan calendar and they mix it with another story.
係啦，咁因為咧喺呢個世代咧，因為啲真相係即係收埋咗好多，咁所以好多偽嘅專家就湊出嚟咧，即係攞咗少少，譬如瑪雅文明嗰啲嘢啦，就攞出嚟又溝埋其他嘢咁一齊講啦，咁就變咗另外一個古仔啦。咁就成個好似 cult 咁樣，或者係個宗教咁樣，就即係未必係佢哋嘅錯嘅，咁但係大家要小心去睇呢啲嘢啦。係啦，今日都
差唔多啦，
係啊，大家都辛苦晒大家，
好精彩啊！今日真係。係 so amazing.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you,
Neil.
Tonight.
You're welcome.
即係今晚好多資料大家見到，同埋好多相咁樣啦。
其實我今晚唔係一個主持嘅，我覺得我係一個 audience， 我喺度聽，不停咁
大家都喺度消化緊，因為太多嘢。
因為我今日都頭先節目之前都同阿 Jenny 講，死啦！我真係唔識嘅喎，跟住 Jenny 話其實我都唔係好識，所以我哋今晚都係聽阿 Neil 講啦，係啦。
Thank you, Neil.
And don't forget to share with your friends. Let them know the truth.
大家記住分享出去啊 ，like and share 啊，咁樣
記得俾多啲人知道，
俾大家多啲知道啊。
I really appreciate that. I don't get anything for doing this. I do it for you. And if you can just get the message out for me, I will be very, very happy.
Okay. When is the next time?
We'll come to a schedule again.
We'll come to schedule.
Yeah.
OK.
我哋下次再講下次幾時啊？大家留意住。
嗱，留意住係啦，留意住當然留意住有台長。嗱，下次台長翻嚟啊，大家放心啦。我今日好似一個啞童咁，因為我不停咁聽阿 Neil 講嘢。係啊，咁
大家記住分享出去，俾多啲人知道。
係啦，咁啊，我哋期待阿 Neil 係啦。再下次再嚟過，好冇 ？OK。Thank
you. See you next.
Thank you all.
OK. Thank you. Good night. Bye bye.